how it started. That is how we always say how it started, where you can share your thought with that piece together. And we hope tomorrow you also join us, and then we have that party together in the morning. So as early morning, you need to be here, because I'm going to do you know that song. You know that if you want to see me sing tomorrow with exclusive band, then you need to be here tomorrow in the morning at the forecourt of our premises. We're putting that live band with the exclusive, the executive live band at the forecourt of the MBN Nungwa at Dogon. 10th Avenue Extension is the place to be tomorrow. So you come, let's do it. I want to sing for you, so I want you to be there. So tell a friend to tell a friend as we have our exclusive time tomorrow at the forecourt of MBN TV. So join us tomorrow with our special edition of our live band here at our forecourt. And that takes us straight to look at this things happening today. Remember, there's a lot of conversation that has gone on, but the first conversation has to do with Fifi Boafo. Then say he's restraining himself because he wouldn't want to talk so much about the politics we play with our sectors, especially when government, there's transition, there's so many talks that goes into those transition, and I think it's not really helping us as a nation. Now, I hope with time we'll be able to get out of that ferrule where we look at things from the national perspective, but always trying to taint people because they are not from our party. It's not helping this nation to grow. The Deputy Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Eliklim Kotoko, has suggested that Ghana may have reached a critical point where the use of tougher measures, including brute force, may be necessary to address illegal mining. I think we've been too soft. I mean, if you ask me personally, I think we've used too much soft gloves because there are people who are politically exposed, who find themselves in the mining sector, especially mining at the places that they are not supposed to mine. They don't have concessions there. And that is creating this menace. The Chinese doesn't know our villages and the chronics, but irrespective of the map, is the people, the chiefs of the people, and politically exposed person who leads them there. And he was saying that he is the spokesperson for the National Anti-Illegal Mining Secretariat, NIMOS, and said the fight against the canker must be strengthened with a decisive action to prevent further degradation of our forests. Now, I truly believe that it's now time we have to stop that soft gloves thing and rather be brutal with the issue, because this is something that is destroying our vegetation. And we are joking with fire. We are really joking with fire. It's something we need to take a second look, take a back seat, and really watch it again. You can share your thought with me. Is it not about time for us to use brute force in dealing with this Galamsey menace? The convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Engineer Ken Ashibe, has also called for stronger and more urgent action against the illegal mining, warning that Ghana is not treating the crisis with seriousness it deserves. Ghana is not treating it with the seriousness it deserves because we have people in the political divide who are neck deep into this Galamsey issue. So it's making it difficult for government to fight it out. A tax for Galamsey, the MMD is the weakest link in fight against Galamsey. You can't leave it for the MMDC is because they are neck deep into this Galamsey issues. And that is making it very difficult. I think it's about time to move away from the dialogue and the jaw and be brutal with this matter when it comes to Galamsey, because we need this nation. We need to be healthy. We don't need a nation that people are sick, people are dying before their time, that non-communicable diseases are killing us. Growing up, we never knew things like cancer, we never knew things like kidney failure, we never knew things like hypertension, diabetes. All these things were things that hardly before you hear it. We see it to be a Western world issue, but now it is with us. And I think the earlier we do something about it, the better it will be. Meanwhile, Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amoako-Hene has also waded into the fire storm surrounding the attacks for Galamsey scandals, cautioning that summary dismissal of the Amansia Central Chief Executive would be a violation of the principles of natural justice. He believes that Dr. Amoako-Hene insists that once the allegations are grave, government must adhere to due process before taking terminal administrative action. Well, the minister's comment follows explosive investigation that revealed pay to destroy syndicates where the Amansia Central District Assembly allegedly collected illicit taxes from illegal miners to allow them to operate with impunity. And you saying he shouldn't be asked? Amoako-Hene, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Let's call a spade a spade. Because there's a petition following the documentary airing that the president has considered a special committee to investigate the extortion allegation. I mean, this glare, you saw it. Dr. Amoako-Hene reveals that this committee is already on the ground, delving into the side of the accused of officials, establishing a factual basis for any future sanction. He pushed against mounting public pressure for the immediate interdiction of the DC. What do you want us to do? You see the problem we're having as a nation, when it's about us, or somebody from our side, it should be treated with kids' gloves. But if it's from the other side, we should be brutal. I think we should be brutal at all fronts. Dr. Amoako-Hene, I respect you, I like you, I love you, but wait dear. Wait dear. Neck deep in it. No, 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 no. It can never be. It can never be. So, what's here in India? What's here in India? Now, let me turn my attention from the Galamsey issue and look at government has directed the cocoa board to commence immediate payment to all affected cocoa farmers who are owed money. The finance minister, Dr. Kessler Forson, has announced. Dr. Forson disclosed this at a press briefing today, February 12, following an emergency cabinet meeting convened on Wednesday to address the deepening crisis in the cocoa sector. The minister revealed that the cabinet has approved comprehensive reforms to guarantee fair prices to cocoa farmers, secure their financial viability of the cocoa sector, and ensure the long-term sustainability of the industry. So, government has looked at dealing with this cocoa menace. But you see, prior to this, there's a lot of things that has gone on. I mean, some looks like we're trying to spill some tea about the cocoa latest drama. Fifi Boafo, a former head of the public affairs of Cocoa Board, has alleged an internal theft war at the cocoa house, claiming it severely undermines Ghana's cocoa sector. He's pointing fingers at the power struggle between the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Randy Abbey, and other senior officials affecting cocoa sales and farmer payment. The controversy involves presidential green letter appointing the other officials as managing director of cocoa marketing company, challenging Dr. Abbey's authority. Boafo warns this conflict as operational inefficiencies and financial challenges impacting the cocoa prices and payment to farmers. Let's take a listen and a watch of what Fifi Boafo, the former head of public affairs at the Cocoa Board.
I'm even learning that the 330,000 has been trumpeting all over the place. By January, the traders had even supplied some of the contracts. They've serviced those contracts. They have serviced some of those contracts. Why is he not making reference to? And another thing they've constantly been talking about. He says all the contracts were 2,100. That is inaccurate. Cocoa Board, you can't contract 330,000 metric tons of cocoa all at the same price. You sell at different prices at different times. So the least figure is what he's referring to. We sign contracts. The contract you sign, you don't sign all the 330,000 metric tons contract in a day.
Right.
You sign those contracts at different dates.
Okay.
These contracts you sign different dates. You sign at different prices. But Dr. Abe is on radio, he's on television, constantly referring to the list price of the contract that was signed, as though all the 330,000 metric tons contracts were signed at $12,000 at the time the former government was there. Some contracts, my friends or my former colleagues at the trading room will not be too pleased with me if I get into the details of talking about contracts and contract prices, because it has an effect on what they do at the trading room. And that's why I said that I am not too comfortable engaging in the details of what they do at the trading room, because if you go to Cocoa House, even the chief executive office is not out of bounds, but the trading room is out of bounds. It's not everyone who is allowed to go there. But here you are, having the chief executive of Cocoa Board discussing the details of trading room and trading contracts on television and radio. And that is what will force some of us to come in and then also engage in some of these conversations. The reason why I'm reluctant is because it goes against the state. When we lose, today the price is 4,000. The only options we have is either to reduce how much the farmer gets, or for government of Ghana to cushion. Whichever way it happens, it affects us as a people. And it is not in my interest as a Ghanaian to be part of an engagement that will make us lose as a people.
So we play politics with everything, with our nation, things that concerns our nation. Always want to paint others black and gray, but these are gray areas. Meanwhile, government has approved urgent measures to fast-track the payment of the cocoa farmers following the emergency cabinet meeting that was held on the 11th of February. Dr. Keselato Forson announced that the Cocoa Board has been directed to commence immediate payment to all affected cocoa farmers. The decision aims to address the deepening financial strain on the Cocoa Board and provide relief to farmers who have been waiting for payment since late 2025. Government plans to introduce reforms, including a new financing model, improved transparency, and accountability mechanism to guarantee fair prices for farmers. The payment delays have also caused significant hardship for farmers, affecting their ability to provide for their families, pay school fees, as well as address health care. Cocoa Board is currently grappling with approximately 50,000 metric tons of unsold cocoa beans at the ports, whilst licensed cocoa buying companies are owned about 2.04 billion Ghana cedis, that is 185 million US dollars. So let's take a listen to the Finance Minister, Keselato Forson.
Yesterday, we have just concluded a lengthy cabinet meeting, which was an emergency session that discussed the cocoa sector and matters arising there. And at the end of the emergency session, decisive measures have been agreed upon regarding expedited payments of cocoa farmers, regarding the implementation of the most drastic reforms in the cocoa sector, with a view to achieving quantum leaps in domestic processing of cocoa as opposed to exports of raw materials, and various reforms to be carried out at Cocoa Board in order to ensure more effective administration and management of the cocoa sector. Now at 11 a.m. tomorrow, the Finance Minister will address the people of Ghana and announce these far-reaching measures as agreed upon at the end of the cabinet meeting today. So that is what I have for you right now. If you have any questions, I can take it. But tomorrow, 11 a.m., meet the Finance Minister here for a comprehensive briefing on all the measures that have been agreed upon. Measures have been agreed upon for expedited payment of farmers and to address all the matters that have arisen in the cocoa sector.
So you heard the government spokesperson Felix Kwakye Ofosu, who yesterday addressed the media of Cabinet's approved urgent measures to fast-track payment to cocoa farmers. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister Keselato Forson announced that government will introduce a new cocoa bill to guarantee farmers a minimum of 70% of the free on-board FBO price of their produce. The bill will also implement an automatic adjustment of producer prices to reflect movement in the world market price, exchange rate, and other key variables. The payment delays have caused significant hardship for farmers, affecting their ability to provide for their families. So now we move to the Sector Minister of Finance, who today addressed the media.
The decision by the PPLC to increase the producer price of cocoa made Ghana's farm gate price competitive and stemmed the potential smuggling of our cocoa beans. From October 2025, unfortunately, the world market price of cocoa started dropping. While the price was declining, Cocoa Board continued to sell the beans until the price fell below $6,400 per metric ton, which is the cost of cocoa from the farm gate to the port. The causes of the situation and the way forward will be my next thing to address. The current situation is largely driven by the unwillingness of buyers to purchase Ghana's cocoa because it has become uncompetitive and very expensive. Cocoa from other producing countries is now selling at a price significantly lower than that of Ghana's producer price. Meanwhile, Cocoa Board did not have the liquidity to purchase cocoa from farmers and stock for hedging or other trading decisions. This was due to the financing model invented in the year 2024-2025, when the syndicated loan failed. Under that model, the buyers financed the purchase. By 2022, Cocoa Board finances had deteriorated badly. It defaulted and restructured the cocoa bills in the year 2023. For the first time in the history of the cocoa industry, in 2023, the annual syndicated suffered significant delays due to the loss of confidence in the Ghanaian economy and the sector. The first tranche was received on 22nd December 2023, 4 months after the commencement of the season. Cocoa Board projected an output of 800,000 tons and committed 786,672 tons in contracts in 2023 and 2024 crop season. However, actual production was 432,145 tons, a deviation of over 45% from the projected output. Variation in crop forecasts typically vary between 5 to 15%. Hence, a deviation of 45% was unprecedented and unacceptable. This resulted in a huge rollover contract of about 333,767 tons at an average price of $2,661 per ton. This resulted in a loss of over $1 billion United States dollars, which would have gone to the cocoa farmer or other stakeholders. In 2024, Cocoa Board could not pay the final tranche of the syndicated loan, which was due in July 2024, and received a 70 million United States dollar bridge finance from the Ministry of Finance to avert a default. Despite a commitment to repay the 70 million bridge finance owed to the Ministry of Finance, Cocoa Board defaulted, highlighting the dire financial strait of the organization at the time. This debt has since been inherited by the current administration and the current management of the Ghana Cocoa Board. Now I will take you to the proposed reforms. A careful, and I won't say proposed reforms, these are reforms that are going to implement immediately. A careful review of the cocoa sector over the last 8 years revealed gross mismanagement, which requires immediate and comprehensive reforms to address the challenges in the sector. Cabinet has therefore decided on the following reforms to guarantee a fair price to the cocoa farmer, secure the financial viability of the cocoa sector, and ensure the long-term sustainability of the cocoa industry. To bring relief to unpaid cocoa farmers, Cabinet has accordingly directed the Ghana Cocoa Board to commence immediate repayment of all affected cocoa farmers. 2. A new Cocoa Board bill will be presented to Parliament to implement an automatic adjustment of producer price to align with movement in the world market price, exchange rate, and other key variables, and guarantees a minimum of 70% of gross FOB price to be paid to the cocoa farmer. A new financing model for cocoa purchases and related operations with associated benefit for increased processing will be introduced effective 2026-2027 crop season. The current financing model was invented as a necessity after the syndicated loan failed after 32 years of successful implementation, and it was proven not to be sustainable. In fact, it has proven not to be sustainable. The financing model is entirely dependent on the buyer's willingness to bear the financing cost and to sell forward most of the raw beans to lock in the contract, which repays the loan and serves as collateral as well. This system did not allow Cocoa Board to optimize prices on the market. In addition, the use of raw beans contract as collateral for the loan meant that Ghana could not optimize its installed capacity for processing. The new financing model will utilize domestic cocoa beans to purchase cocoa. The new financing model will utilize domestic cocoa bonds to purchase cocoa and repay the cocoa proceeds within each crop year. The bonds will be used to raise a revolving fund for Cocoa Board to turn around at least once during the season. The model will also revive the indigenous licensed buying companies that have been completely thrown out of business as a result of the current financing model. State-owned produce buying company, PBC, will be revived to resume full operations and become the leading licensed buying company in the cocoa sector with immediate effect. With the new financing model, Cocoa Board can sell beans of any volume to local processing companies to promote value addition and job creation. Cabinet has, however, directed that with immediate effect, the remainder of the beans for the crop year 2025-2026 should be allocated for domestic processing.
All right, we had the Sector Minister for Finance, Dr. Kessler, forcing briefing the press at the decision after the approval of Cabinet to find a way to solve the crisis in the cocoa sector. After speaking to the press, the minority in Ghana's parliament is slamming government for reducing the cocoa producer price from 3,625 to 2,587 per bag for the remainder of the 2025-26 season. The former finance minister, Dr. Amin Adam, criticized government for mismanaging the cocoa sector, stating that the reduction will worsen the lives of the cocoa farmers. Government attributed the price cut to sharp decline in the global cocoa prices from $7,200 US per ton to $4,100 per ton, making Ghana's cocoa uncompetitive. The Producer Price Review Committee recommended paying farmers 90% of the achieved gross free on board FOB price of $4,200 per ton. The Center for Democratic Movement has condemned the reduction, describing it as a betrayal of the cocoa farmers, a violation of the campaign promises. The group is calling for the immediate reversal of the price cut. But first, let's take a listen to the minority in Parliament, led by the former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam.
We are very surprised that the minister rather used the opportunity to shortchange cocoa farmers. Before we left government, we introduced a turnaround strategy for Cocoa Board, and we worked on this with the IMF. This strategy was intended to comprehensively restructure Cocoa Board. What is happening today in the cocoa sector is not surprising to us because this government has failed to implement the Cocoa Board turnaround strategy. That is why Cocoa Board is facing these challenges. I heard that the minister is directing to move the cost of cocoa roads to the Ministry of Roads. This measure was in the strategy, the turnaround strategy that we handed over to them. It took them 1 year. They have not implemented it. Only because there is now crisis in the cocoa sector, the minister has rushed to announce this measure, which the minister was well informed about in the strategy for turning around Cocoa Board, which we handed over to them. They were also supposed to legislate a transparent pricing policy for cocoa. They have not done that. They were to remove some cost items which tend to reduce the producer price of cocoa, which we thought were unnecessary and in some cases duplicative. They have not done that. They were supposed to get Cocoa Board to move away from non-core businesses and also to improve on efficiency and reduce cost, particularly in procurement. They have not done that. And so as far as we are concerned, this NDC government did not need to announce any new strategy for restructuring Cocoa Board. And as we expected, they could not announce any comprehensive strategy for restructuring Cocoa Board. If they implemented the strategy that we handed over to them, Cocoa Board will not be in this mess. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am even surprised that the IMF is sleeping over this. Because we developed this strategy in consultation with the IMF as a requirement, one of the requirements for implementing the IMF program. I'm really surprised that the IMF has gone to sleep on this. And this government is recklessly managing the cocoa sector, which has brought us to this unprecedented crisis in the sector. Given the scale of the crisis in the sector now, a sector which is one of the most important pillars of art.
Right, so that's the voice of the former finance minister, also doubles to be the MP for Goshego Karaga, the MP for Karaga, Mohamed Amin Adam. Meanwhile, the government's decision to reduce the cocoa producer price have several implications for the Ghana's economy. Reduced government and revenue, lower cocoa prices mean reduced export earnings, affecting government revenue and potentially impacting budget implementation. Farmer hardship, lower prices may reduce the farmer income and also affecting rural livelihood and potential leading to increased poverty. Lower prices might discourage farmers, potentially reducing future cocoa production and impacting Ghana's global market share. Reduced export earnings could weaken the cedi, increasing import costs and inflation. The decision may also affect investor confidence in Ghana's agriculture sector and overall the economy. These factors could contribute to economic challenges, including slower growth, higher inflation, and reduced economic stability. Now, meanwhile, Kojo Nkrumah, the ranking member on Parliament Economic and Development Committee, has criticized government directive for the Cocoa Board to immediately pay farmers, calling it ineffective. He believes the government decision to reduce the cocoa prices from 3,625 to 2,587 per bag will worsen the lives of the cocoa farmers. Upon Nkrumah is calling for the sacking of the Cocoa Board CEO, Dr. Randy Abe, citing mismanagement of the cocoa sector. He argues that government should absorb the cost of its decision and protect the cocoa farmers, restoring the original price promise. Government has announced plans to introduce a new cocoa bill guaranteeing the farmers 70% of the free on board as the FBO price. The Finance Minister, Kesela Tuforsen, addressed the nation on the reforms to stabilize the cocoa industry. Now let's take a listen to Kojo Nkrumah, the Member of Parliament for Fwasi Ewi, and also a ranking member on Parliament's Economic and Development Committee.
Payment of cocoa farmers was a matter of regular procedure. Now emergency cabinet meetings are being called just to discuss how to pay cocoa farmers. But to the more substantive argument, first of all, the announcement that Cocoa Board should immediately pay them, that announcement is of no effect. Because that announcement, but we don't want you to forget the two main causes of the crisis we're having in the cocoa sector now. Two main causes. Number one is that the new managers of the cocoa sector have reset the trading program of Cocoa Board. We used to sell about 70% on forward sales and 30% on spot. They argued that that was an incompetent approach and decided to change it. And now they are selling about 70% on spot. That is why today, as prices have dipped, they are struggling and are saying that the price they had announced ends up being higher than the current prices on the market. That's number one. Because of their own decision to reset the trading model. Number two is the artificial injection of forex into the Ghanaian economy, which has overvalued our cedi, as Dr. Amin Wright explained, and is therefore making our exports relatively more expensive. Remember, we've been raising this matter for a while now. And when you say, they say, oh, dollar has come down, clap for us. Now we are beginning to see the effect, at least in the first area in the cocoa sector. This action to announce a 28% reduction in the price amounts to a haircut of about 28% on close to 1 million Ghanaian cocoa farmers. You may not recognize it. 28%, 28.6% reduction. This 28.6% haircut is going to affect about 1 million cocoa farmers. And if you add to it the number of people who assist them on the farms and their dependents, my gosh, we're getting to maybe 3-4 million people are going to be affected by this haircut that the NDC government has announced. You see, when you manage an economy with artificial adjustments, the real effect will be realized on cocoa farms, in transport fares, in electricity bills, in school fees. Now you are beginning to see the real impact of some of the things that we are talking about. And it is now clear that this NDC government cannot be trusted. When the MPP moved cocoa prices from 475 Ghana cedis per bag to 3,100, they told the people of Ghana that we were robbing them and that they should actually be getting 6,000 to 7,000 Ghana cedis. And just about 1 year in their tenure, they could not even pay the 6,000. They now said 3,650. No.
And 25.
3,625. And even that one, they can't pay. They have to call an emergency cabinet meeting to announce that Cocoa Board should pay. And then after that, they announced a 28% haircut on the poor Ghanaian farmer. One of the impacts, and that's what I want to conclude with. Already when you go into the cocoa growing areas, I was in my areas just a few days ago. A lot of young people are already not going into cocoa because they say the older folk who went into it, they don't see a transformation in their lives. It's left with the old, elderly, poor on the farms. When you do this, what is going to happen in subsequent years is that even those ones will not be going into the cocoa production. If they won't sell their cocoa farms to Galamsey operators, God knows what they will do. They will abandon their farms. Now, what it means also is that the productivity...
Right, so that's a Kojo upon Krumah as a member, a ranking member of Parliament, a Committee on Economic and Development. 0537158638 is the numbers. You can call us now. Your reactions to what has transpired throughout the day is, I mean, with respect regarding the cocoa sector as well as looking at some other industry players on it. So what do you think? The reduction of the pricing and everything is so much. We're looking for it to get to hear your voices. Call us now. Also, between me afraid you di cocoa honsam. Yeah. Abayin say Cocoa Board and call minorities will be say, and really you come to think of it, what does that mean? Cocoa Board was having the money? What if you said they should pay immediately when they have the money? Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Pacho, your name and where you're reaching us live from? Okay, Pacho France, eh? A question for Kuyencio. 1 minute, Yanko.
you fear, you don't want my papa. I'll look my boy, my Ghana. The couple of the phone like a crazy. The fear, you I don't see that. I got 4 or 1 to kill and you play by. Oh, we are going to the couple of no interest of the money bound. The little to be Mamma, come on. That's a phone now. Want it's sure we are.
Yes, yeah, Joseph, I have for Memo 0537158638. Your numbers also between the African Common and you Ray on the news focus. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
About your within the baby of your name or originals live from Ogbeke no chalk. Hello? Can you position yourself well because maintain wonka? As a Okasa no ewa maintain wonka, so bet me a reposition on here. Hello? Well, it's having difficulties getting through to us. 0537158638. Your number sounds a bit too many. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
If you're dealing baby of Frefi.
I'm Kasefi Achimota, Akwetema.
Okay, Achimota Akwetema, but you ain't within.
Me, Kaka, I can say, Sebi, Pejipoti, so when you be a Mawatia, you're monochrome. And coming to Mahama by at least. So when you are to someone, I'm working for now. You order that and game the. It's a very new query at the back of school. It's Mahama where dear no more. It is a work on.
Yo, yeah, that's it. Yes, yeah, that's it. All right, from Akwetema, why Biomana Airbus so about 1 minute, 30 seconds now, Konobia for. I'm on 0537158638. Hello, good evening. Yes, sir. Good evening, boss. Boss, a bit to me about TV in the volume now from me. You have to drink more phones. Okay. Now, offer a fee. Gosso. Okay, men are buying tea. O TV no volume no for me to make us o TV no so I into me to drink come 0537158638 here number so for no ma o TV no volume no akofum and what twin with TV no ye din come our phone so hello good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening within the baby of Refi. Within the Oh, Tio, who TV no so now name bon community into main casa, Mr. Obasi casa, my TV no volume and conform. Near the income phone, so hello, good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening, within the baby of Refi.
If I tell me free madam.
Okay, any of us, I.
If I tell Nana Kofi.
Nana Kofi. Okay, Nana Yentio.
Me pa chopi se utia sama yako swipa ya wo se papa your mama nyina ya de ni tone so nanka ye fi che ebeko anyima beko yi ama nyina na so hwe de ekoso ya in fact wa ma pia fo ma opa ya papa wo so ante so e die tsara wonya wo bibi mai e pa ne chao. Or the academic appeal to a team Ghana for team I will be Ghana for any I will be. I am a Russian by Koya and busy for only personal. Just I am a Russian. Over that for 2 seconds to be a near doom come here. 2 seconds to be a near doom come here. If the Ghana for any now, for when yet, sure home. Near fun yet. Ghana for your bonnet for the brain. A Koya. MPP for buy or the fashion, Moshe, no fat to wear. The consonant be especially if we are for a while, we are for personal. I will send the brain. If you get my car, or my pain, one will be
Yes, say hello, good evening, 0537158638 are your numbers. You can also join us. Let's have a conversation. Let's get interactive. Hello, good evening, sir. Okay, Aboboji Yankwe, na your first say.
Asama masle bibi ewa ko pa de chama ko bia yenda ko so e kai on ka campaign se grafo inda se pa
say bye bye. 0537158638 is the numbers. You can join us 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Make your issues snappy. Let's go. I come here be meet be no me na sorry jumedie so. Hello, good evening.
Fine evening.
Bebacho Udine baby of Frefi.
Frefi Amasama.
From Amasama, Bebacho Yentio, Minia.
Pacha, Galamse, question. When you say a fire cook for farmer from Thomas and Silver. Because what they are expecting from the cocoa, they have to sell their land to the Galamse people. And instead, they are selling to me.
Yate, Yadase. 0537158638. Your number shall be to me. Are joining me and your brain. We're having a conversation as a news focus tonight. Hello, good evening. Udine baby of Frefi. Hello, good evening. Good evening, sir. Udine baby of Frefi, boss.
So we Frefi Doma West in Crampanta.
Okay. And I'm about your first saying.
Yes, friendly a champion.
A champion yet you in the next 30, 60 seconds.
You assembly abano, yes, regala for maybe the only one, maybe what I know, Doma West in Crampanta. Okay, just nearby the country, La Côte d'Ivoire. It's all permanent, Omoko Gramuton, early November up to date. Ubi a friend some kind. When credits way up any kind of one, come for a 2 months I see. Your mama says in a petrol, I got this so, Bibi Ayatiswa, I'm a 40 to my 40, and you only to see I on Baba Payas war, Ghana for your strong, or my engine question. Not yet giving up on us, I do wait obey your baby. Now, when I didn't hear nothing, we are saying our solution, you have. And yes, say Ghana for. Obia kana kumatu na pia kono mukazo motivation ba you when what pia the make up personally and kakra we ni betumi akata motivation ba me da wa no front to us.
Amen. May I say also Nyankopon so and also. Hello 0537158638. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, boss. Udine baby of friend. Okay, yenti we. Yes, yeah, that's say 0537158638. And numbers no may call about Hello, good evening. If I trouble to my old TV and volume now conform. Offer me no amount TV and volume now conform PCR no more, you know, no more be well between me and the volume now conform. Enemy at to come. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
If I show the baby of Frefi.
Macha, Doki, Dama, Yaman, okay.
Nemete abane mama pa tuweke chikukuzo katepa da Biblia ne kwa bono Biblia no di tiaka ende ganya de ida baate kukuzo wa no ni kurana ya ende ya hiyo wenye to baswa naka bono a obia ngi ndi na ma enso wenye ta amane paki kukuzo pi Biblia maya kurana ya lusu ni kwa hiyo kurana ndi Biblia manya papa Biblia ne wale no ama abia bono de yetu Biblia kwa mbema yenye tengere Biblia kukuru kwa ate kwa Nje traba mbi so yo mbi ne ya onko so yo mbi na emoy
Yo, yebede mu nyina ase. Yeda ase. I think I just need to start packing my bags, packing my baggages, and say a big thank you. Hello, good evening. All right, so this is where time will permit me to come your way with today's edition of Hello, good evening. Basho, my last caller. Ma utive no volume nko from ni enka se phone so answer mako. Basho we didn't be of refi.
Basho if kasefi achimda na je fun go just many.
Kwesi yankwe 1 minute.
Le mekan je aban we bi ya phone mo. Aban bi ya phone mo pa so bi bi mo sta. There's a competition. No go to the shop for nothing. No maintain the symbol cost. No control Mexican. Now we one of the people could mean article. It's a Saban. It's Saban when we went by Muhammad by so. Bye.
Mr. Medasi, and that happens to be my final call for today's edition of the News Focus Tonight. It's been a wonderful journey with you from 9 to exactly 10. For more news, log on to MBN 360. You have more on all that has transpired throughout the day. I'll be back, God willing, same time tomorrow at 9 p.m. But don't forget, 6 a.m. tomorrow, be live here on the Morning Focus. News, sports, weather, scripture, African proverbs, newspaper review, and we have more conversation on the VARS Day. How did it begin? Chocolates. Get a chocolate for somebody. The National Chocolate Day on Saturday. Be part of it. And I'm proud of you for keeping your channel on MBN TV. My name is El Samuels. I will say a big thank you to my PCR, the MCR, my camera team, my floor managers, and all of you who allow us to keep you company from 9 till now. Coming up, the Zoe moment. My name is El Samuels. To God be the glory. Have a good night. But don't forget to say a prayer with every heartbeat. See you again tomorrow. Bye.